Like that. What's up, LinkedIn? And what's up, Liz? What's going on over there in Florida?
Hello. That's a hot day, very sunny, no weird things happening in the sky today, so it's not as exciting, but yeah, it's still a beautiful day.
Yeah, I know that was kind of an awkward way to hand it off, but it's a Tuesday. I'm kind of off my groove. I'm normally used to going live on Wednesdays, so doing these retreat things, it's like throwing me off. But I couldn't be more excited to have you here and to share and announce to the world that you're coming to the Women Wave Warriors first annual retreat. Very exciting. But in this live, the whole thing is we want to hear about you. Who are you? And then we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing, the retreat. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing at the end why you chose to do the retreat. So I'm just going to hop right into it and put you full screen. But could you tell us your story, like from being the corporate librarian, or even before that, you really were an educator and you worked in library sciences and you know way more about education than I can ever claim to. And you successfully made the transition into SaaS and sales enablement. And I couldn't be more excited that you've taken your personal brand very seriously this year. You were the winner of the 5-day challenge. And if anyone's not following Liz, go look at her profile and tell me how much you love her description of herself. But with that, Liz, I'm just going to pass it over to you because I've already given too much information. But tell us your life story.
Well, I was born on it. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to go back that far because the LinkedIn Live is not long enough for that. But yeah, so I did start out in education. My first degree is actually in music education. So I was a music educator, and then I kind of fell into some administrative work, which I ended up really loving, and got my first master's in educational supervision and leadership. And then I started working as a school librarian. And the plan was only to do that for a few years and then transition to be an assistant principal. But I loved it so much that I didn't want to leave it. So I poured my heart and soul into librarianship and was a high school librarian for 12 years. I also, during the last few years before COVID, worked part-time at a state college as a librarian, which was really fun because I actually had some of the same students that I had taught and students that were dual enrolled and went to both schools. So it was really, really fun to be able to pull them into another library and kind of oversee that transition into their collegiate library world. But a few years ago, I got a great opportunity and I joined the partner enablement team at Citrix. And we were then bought out by private equity. So now we are a cloud software group, although Citrix is still our business unit. And there's been some transitions during that time as far as the teams that I'm on and people that I report to. And it's been a lot of change. But the one thing that's consistent is I definitely believe I made the right decision. And I've been really fortunate to have amazing people that have helped me along the way, some of them in my company, some of them in different organizations, some of them right from LinkedIn. So that is kind of the story of how I ended up where I am now.
That's a really good story. And I think it could be inspiring for a lot of people on LinkedIn. I remember, especially during the pandemic, there were a lot of teachers on LinkedIn who were looking for work outside of education. And I don't know if those trends are still happening, but I mean, your story is, it's something that I'm sure a lot of people are like, they want to study you and they want to learn how you did it. But man, if they are listening, this would be a great trip for them to come on and meet you and figure out how they can transition too. But I guess, what would you say was for you the hardest part of transitioning?
Having a lot of self-doubt or imposter syndrome. So feeling like even though I was an accomplished educator with 2 master's degrees, that somehow maybe I wasn't worthy or wouldn't fit in with or wouldn't be able to live up to my corporate job. And instead, and I think this is just in huge part to the first team I was on, the first director I had, instead I realized that everything I brought to the table is actually what made me good in my corporate role. The fact that I had a lot of transitional skills, that I was very versatile, that I could, do everything from, running a webinar to being the one to edit the webinar, to being the one to put the webinar up on our LMS, now to managing our LMS. So it's actually a bonus. All of that stuff you bring with you, it's not luggage or baggage. It's a bonus. It's why you stand out in the corporate world, because the corporate world tends to be a little more siloed. There's more resources, more departments, more specific roles. And so being able to come in and be versatile, it ended up being a plus for me. And I didn't know that at the beginning, but looking back now, I think that's probably what's helped me more than anything, is just being versatile, being a fast learner, and having been through so many other experiences definitely helped me for all the change that we've had since being bought out and now being called Cloud Software Group, and all the change that goes with switching from public to private.
Yeah, not to mention like new names and like just public to private though. That's or was it private to public?
No, the other way.
Oh, because it was acquired. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We were acquired by private equity.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a lot of change. So you've worn a lot of hats already in like sales management, but I'm impressed that like, even though I said sales management, I meant sales engagement. Even though you're in sales engagement, you also have taken your LinkedIn very seriously. And what inspired you to do that in the first place? Because you were active before even I met you.
So I think for me, I've realized that the one thing you take with you is your brand.
Mm-hmm.
So, all the years that I worked for my old school, and I absolutely loved every single student that I worked with, and I loved the community. When I left, and all I had to bring with me really was my experience, my brand. It's not like anybody's going to follow up with you and make sure you're okay, or try to get you, placed into new roles, or like, that's not the world we live in. And then being in the corporate world, you realize that even more, because things can be really fleeting. People, especially the last few years, there have been so many layoffs, and I have been fortunate not to be a victim of one yet, but it could happen to any of us in this line of work, which is really sad to say. And I don't want to live in fear, and I don't want anybody to live in fear, but it makes it more important to have a personal brand, to have a network of people that you can depend on, a network of people that you can learn from, and be able to build something that isn't directly attached to your company. Because unless you are the owner of that company, chances are you will someday step away from that, even if it's after 25 great years.
Mm-hmm.
And what's left when you step away? What if you aren't ready to retire? What if you want to do speaking engagements or go to conferences, or do coaching? You can't start your personal brand then. You need to be starting that long before. So I was always, even as a librarian, very active on social media, and I just have been trying to transition that into what it looks like in the corporate world, which, is a lot more LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, like my library had a Facebook page and an Instagram page and things like that. So I've always been a big believer in definitely building your brand, but I believe it's even more important when you're in the corporate world because you just don't know what could happen. And you need to be able to have something that's outside of the identity of your company.
So true. I couldn't have said it better. And thanks for reminding me of that in terms of like, it's a good idea for people to start building their brand because a lot of the time I don't meet people. I just got off the phone with someone right before our call. It was at 5 o'clock. They want to build a brand too. And we're starting from scratch. And that's okay. And we're going to knock it out of the park. But, it would have been really helpful, even if it were just a little bit incremental steps. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about building your brand, listen to what Liz is saying, because that really is the foundation that you can lay for yourself. And she's done an excellent job of that. I mean, well, you have a creative background, you're a musician and also librarian. So, you have kind of say both sides of the brain. So it's really a perfect mix because it's as a marketer, you're a little bit of everything. You're a little data, you're a little creativity, you're a little finance. And when you're running your own personal brand, you're your own little personal marketer. So Liz is the full package. So Liz, let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about the retreat before we tell people why you chose to come to the retreat. About the retreat is, and I'll just pull up the website, but we're going to be staying in Colorado Springs for a weekend in the summer, July 18th. It's going to be beautiful. And we are going to show up on a Thursday, and that's when we'll have our welcoming dinner and we'll get to know one another. And the weekend will sort of unfold until Sunday. But we're going to have a lot of activities, including, one in-home chef for all of our meals will be prepared for vegan, vegetarian, whatever your preference is. But then we'll be doing personal branding photography. So that's really, I would say the like golden nugget out of this is that you're going to leave, yes, with a full heart and an energetic mind ready to go take action on your personal brand. But you're also going to be equipped with professional images from a renowned branding photographer. Because essentially, we're all splitting the price of the photographer as well as the mansion, and the sound bath and morning yoga every day. I digress, but if you were to explain the retreat and what it is, Liz, how would you explain it?
So for me, I feel like the retreat is an opportunity to pour into yourself, both personally and professionally, which we don't always get the opportunity to mingle or mix those two things. And I'm really good at pouring into myself professionally. I'll sign up for 1 trillion webinars and I'll go to conferences and I'll use my own money to fund going to professional development or conferences. But to have the opportunity to also focus on my brand, who I am as a person, some of the relationships I've built over the last few years, like with you, like with Brandy, that is the difference, because I really feel like I'm not just investing in my professional side, but I'm also investing in my personal side. I'm going to a beautiful place that I've never been before. There's going to be time for relaxation. There's a really cute little reading area that I've already scoped out. So I feel like it's just a very interesting mix to be able to say, yes, this has professional benefits, but it also has personal benefits. So it's one of those things that you'll look back and you'll never say, oh, I regret I did that. If God forbid I changed careers again, a month after this retreat, there would still be things that I learn and experience that I would take with me. And the truth is, we have to take charge of our own development, our professional and our personal development. Nobody's going to do that for us. Even in the best company with the best enablement team in the world, you still have to take responsibility and be plugged in. and do the work. And, some of us are in places where we don't get as much professional development as we would like. And so you really have to create your own plan and figure out what you need and what is best for you and what's going to help you accomplish your 1 year, 5 year goals. And for me, this seemed like something that I should make a priority.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned the personal side because I didn't really get into that, but you're absolutely right. And it was part of my inspiration for wanting to throw it as well, is that I'm a busy working mom. And for one, I needed the space. I wanted a group sound bath with other women who are also in growth mode like me. And, I think that's a big part of it because we've got people who are transitioning into new jobs like you, or new career or new industries, who want to build their personal brand and level up for the future. We've got Alex, who I think maybe we'll do a live with next. And she's a director of marketing in a law firm, and also, doing some of her own interesting stuff. And, actually, she was my boss. She was the one who brought me into marketing. So it's kind of like, ooh, roles are reversed. I really got to be up on my game because, she's everything to me because, like I said, she gave me my first marketing job and brought me into the industry. But I'm so excited that she's going to be there. And Carly and some of the others that we've had on the live already, it's just a time to celebrate each other, celebrate our wins. We're going to be talking about things that I think are important to women. So like boundary setting. That's important to everyone, but, especially I feel like a lot of the time we become the person in the meeting room who says, yes, I'll take the notes, or yes, I'll do this. More frequently, I don't have stats, but it's going to be my guess that we see that from women more often. And so I had to learn how to say no. Like, I was taught to be to help people and care for people and be nice. And all of those characteristics are not all great in the business realm. So I'm really glad that you brought up the personal side because, yeah, that part is really, really a big part of this. And we will, be doing some of the, you'll have a chance on Saturday, I believe, maybe Friday. If you want to go explore locally, you can. Or if you want to stay back at the house, we'll be doing a session on building your strategy. Like, why are you here? Liz, I know you've done a lot of that. And you know why you're here. You know your why and you know your goals. So people need to be paying attention to you because you're the leader out there. And watch out, world, because I guarantee you that Liz's LinkedIn in the next 3 to 5 years is going to be like off the charts, y'all. So just pay attention to that. But back to the retreat and what it's about. I mean, I think we covered everything. Let me go back and share the screen. And if you're watching this, let us know if you have any questions. If the listed pricing feels like a lot to you, let me know. I'm at a place now where we could potentially look at lowering some of the costs. But yeah, the listed prices, if that's don't let it stop you. Reach out to me. We'll talk to you. We only have shared beds left at this point, I believe. I keep forgetting. No, there is still one private room left. Originally, I was thinking I would stay in a private room, but if someone wants the private room, then they can have the private room. But yeah, it's going to be a great time. We're going to be getting massages. We're going to have the sound bath. We're going to have food and just time to journal and chat and network because we're all women in growth mode. But with that, we've explained what it is. What made you were one of the first to sign up and register. What made you say, I have to be at this event?
It just felt like it would be a really good cherry on top of the work that I've already been doing. Some of the work that I started before I met you, and then some of the work that we've done in the Taking Up Space class, or also, in the LinkedIn challenge that I did with you, the 5-day LinkedIn challenge, which just so everybody knows, Jesse's actually released that curriculum for free. Is it still free?
It's still free. I think I'm going to make it like $250 toward the end of the month, but yeah, it's free on my profile page if you go look at it.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that we did in 5 days in our class, and I use the principles from that every day. It's not that I didn't know some of that, it's that it kind of put things in perspective, and instead of the LinkedIn world or the social media creator world feeling so huge, we were able to say, okay, what are your content pillars? What are your goals? Who is your audience? What's important to you? And not everybody's goals match. Some people, they want to build a huge following and have 100,000 followers, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. For some of us, with me especially, I just really want to network with people that are in my field that I can learn from. I have a little bit of a disadvantage on the trade knowledge side, so I have to play catch up. And so being able to follow people who really know their stuff and to form relationships with them, right? Not just like, hey, let me like your post, but hey, let's do a half hour, little coffee chat. And then that might be the same person that you see at a conference. Maybe that's somebody that you do a webinar with or go to a retreat with. And down the road, that could be a person that you end up working for or working with. Just like, your thing with Alex has kind of come full circle. It also goes the other way. You could meet somebody at a retreat or a conference or a webinar that then you end up working for or working with. So those relationships are really important to me because I'm a little late to this bandwagon. So I knew I needed to work on that from the beginning, and I have, and this is just another way for me to focus on that, to be a little more focused in how I conduct myself on LinkedIn and who I attract and who I spend time, looking at their content. It was just a really, really smart class. And I feel like this kind of just takes it to that next level, right? Like, and we always need reminders whenever we learn something good. You can't just like learn it and then move on. You have to have reminders. You have to have, things that kind of keep you accountable, and you have to re-examine because we change. The world around us changes. Our circumstances change. So it's possible that your 3 pillars 6 months ago might be different than your 3 pillars in a year. And that's okay too. But that's why we have to take time to pour into our development with things like this retreat and things like the LinkedIn challenge and Women Wave Warriors and the Taking Up Space coaching, all of those types of things that we can use as resources to help us grow are really important. I'm just a huge believer in that. I don't know if it's the educator in me or what, but I really think we need to prioritize that.
Yeah, you're so right. And with you guys, probably, well, with teachers, you have to go continue to get education, right? Like, isn't it required to stay certified or something? Yes and no.
But I would say I also had to be in charge of my own development when I was an educator. So, when I was an educator, I immediately joined professional organizations that focused on being a librarian. So I was in the state organization, the county organization, and the national organization. And I actually ended up becoming the president of both the county and state organizations during my time in that role. And that's, because I really believed in what they were doing and the fact that they were providing really quality professional development and advocacy for libraries. And man, that was important then. It's even more important now with, book banning and some of the interruptions to curriculum based on people's political views. Like educators, librarians, they really need that advocacy. They need those places to learn and grow and to figure out how to, keep doing what they feel called to do and what they're so passionate about without getting themselves fired in a weird political climate. So there's a lot of nuance to all of that, but yeah, I guess I've always been really passionate about professional development and seeking that for myself and for others.
Yeah, and valuing that, and so that's really good, and clearly it's done a lot for you. I mean, you're really well spoken. Like, I guess whenever I hang out with you, Liz, I always feel a little bit like I need to be on my best game because I feel like you are so smart. You are going to call me out on whatever bullshit I like say in the best way. And even in our coaching calls, like on taking up space, there was a time I remember specifically, I won't name any names, but coaching can be hard because sometimes we do need to trigger people, right? Like I hate to say that, but if they're doing something and they think that this is good for them, but we see something else, then we need to be able to say that. And I was sort of struggling to do that in that moment, but you so eloquently like went in. You like saw what I saw and I wasn't communicating, but you like came in and you basically went for it. And it caused the person to be like, oh, okay. And like it wasn't clicking for me, but you're just so sharp and you're so intuitive that like I'm excited to have you at the program because you're the exact type of person I feel like we want at professional development programs. So thank you so much for joining. And for anyone watching or who watches this later, you're going to get to meet Liz if you come to the retreat. We've got a few beds left. It's going to be an intimate group. We're going to cap it at 11. And if you want to register, go ahead and do so. Flights are getting expensive, so you're going to want to book that soon if you're thinking about it. But if you look at the price that's listed, I can give you $500 off of that. So just reach out to me, whether you want the shared room or the one private room. I'll still be able to make ends meet and also we can cut it by $500. So reach out, let me know, and we're going to help you out there. But thank you so much, Liz. I can't wait to meet you in person.
I can't wait to meet you in person. It's really exciting.
I
Get to
know.
see Brittany in person and Brandy, who I'd already connected with a long time ago. Now we both happen to be coming, so that's really exciting. So it's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
I'm excited.
You'll get to meet Carly. She was in the program before you, and she's amazing. She doesn't call herself wellness anymore, but like that word, because she's not just a yoga instructor. She is a life coach, but she incorporates yoga and breathing practices and exercises like into her full circle coaching. It's like, well, and I say wellness too, because she wants to like build your health, build your wellness, build your mental health so you can go make more money. But that's really what it is. It's like she'll talk to you about what you're eating, your relationships, your spirituality, all the things on the wheel of life, that we did that one day. Carly is that person. I'm really excited for you to meet Carly. And then, of course, Alex, too. She's amazing. But we're going to have a kick-ass time. I can't wait to meet you. Thank you for going live with me tonight and letting me cut into your Tuesday evening.
Oh, thank you for having me. And thank you for all the kind things you said. I try to be sharp, but I'm also pretty silly. And I know that you will see that side of me as well when we are on this trip. So by the end of it, you might be like, she isn't who I thought.
I don't know. I think the smartest people know how to be silly. Don't you think?
I think so. And you can't take yourself too seriously, right? Like
I definitely do not.
That would be a terrible life to live. But you have to have fun.
I need to probably take myself more seriously sometimes, but that's why I think you'll balance me out really well. But I'm excited for Colorado Springs. I've never been, and I'm going to be out. Okay, well, thank you so much, Liz. I'm going to go ahead and cut this live stream. Peace out, everyone. Bye.